Christian perspective on hot topics surrounding our community, with emphasis on personal and leadership development. This show is inspiring, informative, and entertaining. You never want to miss it. Now let's see what everyone is yakking about. The Yolanda and Cornelius Show. You may contact us through our website, www.trifoldoutreach.com, or by phone, 800-664-1793.
Welcome to the Yolanda and Cornelius Show. Today is our business day. Today we have on the phone with us businessman, entrepreneur, change, transform, triumphant individual who understands business backwards, forwards, upside, downside, good side, the bad side. We have with us none other than Mr. Perez Grimes. What's going on, Perez?
Good morning, Pat.
Man, I'm here, man. I'm glad that we could catch you before you make another deal and have another meeting, man. But let's just dive into this thing, man. We are in a state of emergency. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life?
Yes, I have. I've had the opportunity, coming and making a transition into the financial and the real estate industry. I had an opportunity to go through this, during the crash of 07 and 08. Actually, I had a lot of colleagues around me who were actually seniors to me during the course of that time, but they never, gave me a fair warning of what was about to transpire in that crash. And I went through that crash, and I learned a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to take part in from a spiritual perspective. So it's a blessing. And there's a message that's going to come out of the mess. Just have to stay tuned and be in alignment, with our Father.
Look here. Okay, we can go down this path right now, this path of green pastures from the 07-08 crash. If you can remember and reflect, what message was given to you then, if you can remember, and how did you make those adjustments from that 07-08 crash when you heard that message?
Well, that's a good question, Pastor. But for me, it was a message of me redeveloping myself and rebranding myself, because up until that point, from 91, my industry had been real estate and finance. And I never knew that there was going to be something of that magnitude that was going to affect that market like that. So it was time for me to rebrand myself, and I had to go and I had to study the game. I had to study the United States of America Corporation and how it was built. I had to go back and I had to study the Federal Reserve Department. I had to study the currency that we trade with every day. It sent me down a real path of finance and economics. And what it taught me was that this is the perfect time to rebrand yourself and find something new to get involved in. There's a lot of industries that you can get in right now that will maximize the potential for you to just bounce right back. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be overnight. But you should take advantage of where we are in real time and find a new brand and get into that new brand and brand yourself, rebrand yourself.
You understand business and understand branding and how important it is. You come to this conversation with 30 years experience, real talk. 30 years experience of business.
Yes, sir.
Some that have been successful, some that were not successful. You have the opportunity to grab a young man, young woman right now by the collar and say, "Sir, ma'am, sit down. Let me share these tips with you right now in the midst of Corona, in the midst of the crash, in the midst of the chaos." What are your top 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things you would tell them?
Oh, man. That's a broad.
Just start, but just think about it. Think about it. You got it in you.
Yes, sir. But the one that sticks out more than anything, and I'm giving you my experiences. Everybody's going to be a little different, but it all comes back to a main source. But mine is change. You have to understand that we are remotely controlled and we are governed and we are given our instructions from a higher power. And even the graphs that represent the stock market on Wall Street They are never the same. You have to learn to adjust change. You come into a market and you build a solid foundation, and as you start to build on that foundation, you can branch off. It's just like the tree. The tree starts with a seed, but as that tree starts to take root and it starts to come out of the ground, as it starts to develop itself, it branches off and it gives you other different directions that it goes in. So, and then that brings me to give you this message. Never be and never try to be consistent. Always be willing to accept change and tap into change. And be relevant in different markets. Don't just take one market and say, hey, this is the only thing that I'm going to be involved in. No, you have to really, really, really use the resources that your Father has given you to tap into all of the industries that create us and make us a whole.
See, you saying something because, and I hear what you're saying, and we're going to reiterate what you said. People want to do just one thing all the time and think that one thing is going to be that's going to take them over the top. They forget that even in the garden, there were tributaries that came out of the Garden of Eden, like 4 other rivers. Like, absolutely. God never intended for us just to do one thing. We come up in the Jordan and Magic era. Their main thing was passing and shooting basketballs. But then Jordan got into a whole nother brand.
Yes, sir.
And he's still making money off something he did years ago. That was his one thing.
Yes, sir, Pastor.
See, that's what you got to teach these young folk, and teach these hungry folk. You got that one main thing, but out of that one main thing, you got to keep finding those other things that can feed into that one main thing. And I think a lot of times, man, our failure as a people, we just want to do one thing.
That's right. And see, my thing is this, Pastor. It's funny, and this was not a scripted call. This was not scripted at all. And you just mentioned something that I try to share this thought with my team members all the time. But you talked about Magic and Michael and the game of basketball. I reference everything that I do based on a team concept. And the thing is, you can compete in any industry that you want to get involved in, and you can compete to the point to where you can make a decent living and you can feed your family and you can pay your bills. But in order to reach your full potential that your God has promised you while you walk this planet, you are unable to do that unless you assemble a seasoned and a well-developed, knowledgeable team that's around you that pick up the pieces in other parts of your industry that you're not seasoned in. We all have lanes that we stay in, and you're better in a different lane than I may be, but you can call on me because you know that I'm representing the best interest of the team. So we need to start thinking about building solid teams and not having that crab in a barrel syndrome, and let's really go about doing the work of the team.
The crab in the barrel. Grimes, but you've seen it in 50 years. That's all you've seen in your life. I don't know where we got that from.
Yes.
And I hate to say it because I'm not a, clinical psychologist or psychiatric. So I'm not that. But what I do know, somewhere in our DNA, and some people's DNA, not everybody, they just can't seem, they're not team oriented.
No.
We just selfish. And in the business world, you really can't be selfish.
No, not at all.
And you mentioned that key teamwork. In one season of your life, this was your team. The next season of your life, this is your team. The next season of your life, this is your team. Let me give you this illustration since we're on basketball. 2 years ago, Golden State was the best team.
That's right.
2 years later, they the worst team.
That's right.
Because it's about who you got on your team.
That's exactly right.
And as a businessman, who should I put on my team? Well, let's interview Perez at 25. Who did Perez have on his team at 25?
That's right.
Different team at 25. Different team at 35.
It goes back again, Pastor, like I said, when you're paying attention to the stock market and those graphs that they demonstrate at the end of every television broadcast, those graphs represent the energy, and they represent different businesses, and they are never always on top. There's a peak and there's a valley, and that's what your life does. And it does that because we are not in control of this thing. We are supposed to be playing out the script, so to speak. We get instructions from on high, and it takes some of us longer than it takes others to understand and really be able to hear that voice when it's speaking to you to do and take certain orders and do those things. So that's where we are now. This is a trying time. It's a scary time for people who don't understand and have never gone through it. But it's also a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time if you want to take control of your own being and take control of your own situation, because the way I see it is this. You've been accustomed to allowing somebody to grow your food and ship your food to you and manufacture the materials that you feel like you need in your household right now. Right now, you could be really planning inside your home during this quarantine time and start planning to start taking control of just the household goods that you use on an everyday basis. And tapping into the energy, whether you manufacture it yourself or whether you own stock in it, you should be playing a role in the things that you use inside your household on an everyday basis.
See, you stretching us as humans now to start looking at most things we overlook.
Yes.
Like you said, this is a beautiful thing. Go ahead.
Pat, let me give you one real good example, because it's really making a presence in the market right now. But let's just talk about toilet paper.
Let's talk about it. Real talk.
Let's talk about toilet paper. I want you to understand something about toilet paper. When you look at the 95%er, and when I say a 95%er, I'm not talking about people who look like us, or they have a certain appearance, or they come from a certain walk of life. I'm talking about anybody that is at or below the poverty line that has been left out of the equation of wealth, the 95%er. We're talking about this mass hysteria that this toilet paper has made. But the 95%er does not own not one share of stock in toilet paper.
My.
If you own stock in toilet paper right now, whether it was Charmin or whatever the next name brand is, you would own a profit share for all of the toilet paper that they're about to sell within the next quarter, because every quarter that would come around, you would be receiving, you could take it in a dividends check, or you could add it to your portfolio or whatever it is, but you would be reaping a profit share with, let's say, Charmin, so to speak, if you own shares in toilet paper with Charmin right now. Because it is impossible right now for you to become your own paper, but at least you should own stock in it because you're using it every day.
You know what, Pastor Perez, you my pastor, to each other's pastor. Doc, you the business pastor. You're so correct. Even water, aquafit. Doc,
yes, sir.
Man, when we were kids, did you ever think that we would be paying for bottled water?
I never thought that. Never.
And now, with this pandemic, water is scarce. So whoever, somebody is benefiting from the chaos.
Now watch this. I would like to add this to this conversation. The stock market goes up and it goes down based on the fear that you can create in the market. Did you know that?
Say that 3 times. I need to hear that 3 times.
The market generates that spread up and down, one way or the other, based on the fear that the media can instill into the market. So if you got something going on right now, what's happening right now is the fear of people running out of toilet paper. And you got videos going on around the world right now where people are inside the supermarket. You turn your back on your basket that's full of goods that you plan on going and checking out, and people are taking things out of your shopping cart, or they're fighting you over the last roll of toilet paper and all of these kind of things because of fear. But let me say this. And this is the hoarder. This is where the hoarder comes in, because they're hoarding information They're hoarding raw material. They're holding goods and products and services. But God, our Father, is able to replenish this earth every single day, and we have everything we need on this planet to survive in abundance. Everything we need is here. It's just that people have a syndrome, like you said earlier, of that I can't let you have more than me, or I'm going to run out. And that's just the way this thing has gone down this path for as many years as I've been on this planet. But we have what we need here in abundance. It's not distributed fair.
Well,
let me give you another example. Let me say this.
Go ahead.
And I guarantee you that I'm probably one of 10 people that's probably listening right now that has ever even thought about this. The other day, a few days back, there was a really, really, really big segment on the Fed implementing $1.5 trillion into the United States economy.
Trillion.
Trillion.
I can't even count that high.
Okay. So then a few days later, maybe a week later, you got them coming on television saying that they want every United States American to receive relief right now, but they only going to send them $1,000.
Okay.
Pastor, there's approximately 350 million Americans in the United States. You could give every last one of them $1 million apiece, and you still ain't even spent your first billion. And they just saying that they getting ready to put $1.5 trillion into circulation, but they only want to give people that are at and below the poverty line $1,000 a month. Do the math. That math is not adding up to me.
But you said everything is generated from the scare or a scare tactic.
That's it.
So let me listen. If you never had $100, when I give you $1,000, you're going to boost the economy.
Man, they already know that $1,000 that they getting ready to give those individuals, none of them are anticipating making that $1,000 go to work and grow. They know for a fact that $1,000 is going to be spent as soon as they get it. They keep statistics on it. They already know with what depending on where your zip code is, what your education level is, what walk of life you come from. The minute you file your taxes and you get that return, they already know what you're going to do with that money.
Give it right back to them.
They already know this.
Already know this. So you talked about this earlier, the wealth distribution. How do we now start distributing wealth? And when are we going to start teaching people, all people, about wealth distribution? Because me giving you 4 or 5, think about it. Let me back up. A parent has 2 children, 3 children. Every year she gets $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 income tax.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of 10 years, baby, you've had $60,000 minimum in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say that you've done with that $60,000?
Well, let me say this. For an individual that's in that situation, we have to continue to pray for them because they have been beaten down, Pastor.
Yes.
So much through the course of that year that when they get it, it's a relief for them. And they have to gratify themselves. I'm sorry that it's like that. It just is what it is. What we have right now is we have a redistribution of wealth program that we've implemented in 9 different industries. And we are not under the authority of no one but the Most High and the states that were governed under those laws. But we are in a redistribution of wealth with those 9 industries. And we have pilot programs for individuals that are coming out of the high school level. We got pilot programs for individuals that are at the college level. And then we have pilot programs that we are implementing for an older generation as well, who feel as though they have been left out of the equation. And what we're doing is this whole program is designed to bring them in and get them accommodated and compensated to what their value is, but we want them in a lane that God chose for them. So we're trying to get them to go back and find this passion that they had in whatever industry it is to do what God told them to do before they were robbed of this system. And we're trying to put them in that lane and give them a task within the organization of all of those 9 industries, and we put them in a role in those industries.
Now help me, man. You blessing me, and you and I are already partners because you've come to the church and done workshops, and people are, the word is getting out there about that. But help us with some of these industries that are wide open markets for people to tap in to make sure that they understand how wealth is distributed. Or can you share any of those things?
Well, 2 of them, and that I'm very influent in right now, is the financial industry and the real estate industry. The real estate industry, more than any, is because there's so many different industries that are under that umbrella. So when you say real estate, when you're a builder like myself, you don't just say, a house. You don't just look at the house. You look at every component of the house. The foundation it sits on, the framing work, the windows, the roof, the brick. All of those are industries that are different tradesmen is getting paid in those industries. But one of the footholds that we have coming into this new 2020 and beyond with this new energy and this new redistribution that we're bringing to the table is we have a product.
Okay.
It's a new innovative building system. And it has gone through all of the research and development for the last 15, 20 years. We've passed every international building code. But we have a product right now that we're coming into the Nashville market right now because of the tornado that just hit. But we have a product right now that is built. It's new, innovative, and it withstands wind speeds of up to 170 miles an hour. It's a fire retardant up to 1,200 degrees. It's mold. It's water resistant. It's been tested on the earthquake Richter scale at 9 points. And it's a bulletproof system as well. And the house that you're living in right now, we can build a house and we sit it right beside the house you're living in or the apartment complex you're living in right now, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's that solid. It's that much. It's so beautiful of a product, and then the things that we stand it on, and the certifications that it has. There is no other product like it in the United States of America right now, and we're ready to come into the North American market. We are really looking to add, to the individuals that will be building this product, administrative help we need. We need help with the demographics as far as the architectural drawings. We need all of that because we are really, really, really getting bombarded with orders with this new innovative building system. So even the way that you used to build a home even 5 years ago is about to be obsolete, with the wood framing and all that. We have products and we have a service that is totally state-of-the-art. So we're building smart homes now with a new innovative building system that own Wi-Fi technology and all of those certifications that they can withstand in the United States. Right?
Man, see, that is so amazing to know that what you said was a smart home. We got smart TVs, smartphones, smart this, but now you need a smart home.
Absolutely.
And now you've tapped into that market with where devastation has taken place. We're talking about Davidson County, Wilson County, Putnam County. We're talking about 3 counties that are congruent to each other. Just go from one to the other with smart homes.
That's exactly right.
And I pray blessings over every contractor and contract and teaching these people, our people, every people, not just black people, not just brown people, just
Absolutely.
All people, how to tap into this market. And in North Nashville, I hope y'all get some contracts in the North Nashville area close to the church So we can say on this block, we're building this block one block at a time with a smart home.
That's right. Absolutely, man. It's a beautiful thing. I like change. I've been in this industry 30 years, and I had never, ever, ever been on the receiving end or being at the front of the line to be able to be a part of a shift in an industry. And when I say, that what we're doing, it's not just me. I have a team of archaeologists. I have a team of environmental specialists who have a combined 100+ years in industries and what they do. The weather pattern. When we're giving our presentations to Bank of America, to Wells Fargo about the re-innovative system and the new design, the way to build your home, when we go into those atmospheres, we're proud. We're proud to say that, hey, the time has come. I've been in this industry 30 years, and I've never seen a need for a change on the way we've been building homes. And so that's what we're excited about. We're excited about it. When we do the research on it, there's probably only 5% of the builders inside of the United States right now that are even building with a different concept with the weather patterns that we're experiencing. I was about to say earlier that the environmental specialists that have been studying the weather patterns, like when we go into these presentations, we don't mention global warming or the temperatures rising in the sea levels and things of that nature to bring fear. It's just a known fact that global warming is real. And it's not that we're saying that to make you feel that the world is coming to an end or something like that. It just means that you have to start to think and feel conducive to what's about to happen in your market. If you look at what we're experiencing right here in Nashville right now, we're getting so much rain year after year after year. And then the other thing that we're experiencing are the heavy winds. And this is not just in Nashville. This is happening globally. So
right.
When we mention these things, we're not mentioning these things for you to go and go and steer and write out your wheels, which you need to do that anyway, and that's another conversation. But we're just saying that house that you're living in now is not conducive to the weather patterns and the things that we're about to experience for the next 20 years.
Listen, let me lace this conversation with scripture. Jesus gives an illustration. He says, a man built his house upon sand. When the storms and the wind came, it beat upon the house, and great was the fall. It's interesting that Jesus, being a craftsman carpenter, he understood, even in preaching and illustrations, how serious a foundation is needed and what needs to go on foundation. And now you're talking about communities that were built from the perspective of the past are not built for the challenges of the present and future, and how we really need to go back and just kind of scrap some stuff and rebuild all over again. That is phenomenal.
And let me say this, Pastor, my career in the real estate industry has been based upon what I can buy or what I can sell, and I need to go to the market and bring the highest return that I can get, because I've never gotten grants. We do our acquisitions, and when we do our acquisitions, it comes from a budget that we have in-house. And when we build our homes, that home is built from a budget that we have in-house. And so we have never really been able to tap into an affordable housing market. But with our product and the certifications that it stands on now, and we as a team owning, listen to me, Pat, owning the manufacturing rights. We own distribution. So now we are able to pass those savings, and we are able to tap into and build affordable housing at a historical rate, because we can actually now afford to build affordable housing, pass that affordable housing price along to the consumer, and we still can make a little bit of money for ourselves, pay our subs, and to pay our families and do those type of things. So we're excited about the things that we're doing. And this new innovative building system is just one of the industry that we have a stronghold.
Well, see, you helping us. And now a young woman who's leaving high school and not having a clear direction on what they want to do and have the gift and talent to work with their hands.
Yes, sir.
Can contact can get in the line, can get in the vein, as you say, get in the vein of how this wealth is going to be redistributed.
Absolutely. And I watched, you're talking about that kid coming out of high school, and I watched it, I was there, I come up in the inner city, and there was a lot of distractions. And
of course.
And so I watched it. And then for some students, that classroom setting can become very boring. It's not that these kids are not geniuses, and it's not that they don't get it. It's just that we've been dealing with a curriculum that if they don't pass it, or if they're not active enough, they're failed out, and then they're thrown to society, and they're considered as waste. But the thing is this: if we could find what they really have a passion for, and put the energies behind that, they would excel. They would excel to a very, very high degree. Everybody's not classroom oriented. Everybody doesn't want the book. Everybody doesn't want to be in a classroom setting. So we have these programs that are set up for individuals that are needing or are in those type of situations.
Yeah, I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful. I know you're a businessman and you got to make some more moves. And I tell you what, let's do this weekly. You hear me? Weekly. Because people need to know what's the next move, and they need to know how to strategize and position themselves to get in the vein. That's your word. That's your favorite word. Get in the vein. Like,
that's right.
People need to know. And you got all these other entities that you have partnered with and worked with and been successful with. And people don't know this knowledge. They don't have this knowledge. They don't know. They don't know even where to go get this knowledge. They don't know that where they're living, the house is not really conducive for the next 20 years of weather. They don't know that. We don't know this stuff. We don't know about, truck driving industry, the other stuff that you and I have talked about. We don't know how, you should have invested in some Charmin and Aquafina. Should have been doing that 3 or 4 years ago. Because now, what are you looking for? People call the church every day, Pastor. I say, what? Do you have paper towels? Do you have toilet paper? I said, you never would have told me 20 years ago, 20 years later, I will be sitting at my desk in the office, in my study, praying for people and praying that they just find toilet paper. As silly as that sounds. Pastor, do you got some paper towels? I said, Brownie? Like, real? We finna pray about Brownie? Really? But Doc, it is that serious now. And teaching children now, the stock market, this is the best time to get in. Because it's going to bounce back.
That's right. Absolutely.
And see, we don't have those financial literacy pieces, though.
No, we're not done by no means. This is a cleansing process. I mean, this is God's work, man, behind the scenes from a spiritual perspective. It's a part of it.
It's a part of it. It's a part of it. It's a part of, like you said, it's cleansing. And he's repositioning people to get in their purpose.
There it is.
Oftentimes when you have catastrophes and catastrophic events, God reposition people to get in purpose. Get in their purpose or get in purpose. And I believe, and you've seen the work we're doing at the Ephesian church, your church, the purpose, how we've been grinding every day. Every day. Making sure, I'm talking about serve. This is the service. This is what you provide. This is what we're here for.
That's right.
I mean, the doors should be open. People can come and get. People called me yesterday. I will say, share this with you. This is podcast, and when we upload it, it'll upload, tomorrow. This is Wednesday, the 18th, but it'll upload tomorrow. Somebody came by the church, I won't reveal their name, dropped off $1,000.
That's how it's supposed to be, Pastor.
Here, because you out here helping.
Yeah. You have to understand, and this is for your listening audience or whatever, and they've chosen to run with DeFi. And so you have to understand that the works and the things that you guys are doing on a very, very, very high level, you can't do that without those type of gifts. You have to have people that are willing to give and continue to give in order to do what you guys are doing. So that's a beautiful thing, man.
Man, I thank you, man. I thank you, man. We about to play our outro. We about to get off of here because I know you got to make some moves. And hopefully this weekend, if we not too quarantined, hey, we can sit down and put some more business plans in place because that's what we do. Remember this. When Jesus wanted to turn the world upside down, he called businessmen. Don't ever forget that. I be trying to tell y'all that. Fishermen, taxmen. He even called a thief because the thief understood business.
That's absolutely correct.
I mean, as the kids say, where's the lie? Where's the lie? There's no lie. When Jesus wanted to turn the world upside down, where did he go get them from? Main Street and Wall Street. Because this is about business too. It is. And like I said, his death was even a business deal. And that's, Doc, I'm serious, man. Everything. God is a businessman. If he's nothing else, he's a businessman. He know how to do business. Jesus talked about money more than he talked about heaven. He talked about stewardship. So, man, I thank you, Perez. Man, I thank you, bro. I thank you. I know you got lots going on today, man. We're grateful for this, like I said, and for your company, man, the people that you have partnered with. You know, this is always a platform for y'all. Always a platform.
I really, really, really appreciate you reaching out to me. And then, and I know you know this, man, but I just want to make it crystal clear. You know, when you don't hear from me and you don't see me, it does not mean that I am not working in your best interest.
Oh, I know.
You know, we're joined at the hip. You know, we joined at the hip. And we got big plans for everything that you've incorporated already and to enhance what it is that you've already started and bring you, the resources and the tools you need to really, really, really magnify and just, create so much noise in what you're doing already.
Man, hey, we thank you, Doc. It's all about partnership because we're going to take our corner and make it the best we possibly can be. And prayerfully, we can pass this torch to somebody else. And they can be like, hey, we bought this one lot. We bought this one house. It's up to you to buy the next lot and the next house. And because buying the block one house at a time, getting the technological, think about it. 3728 finally goes technologically or becomes a technological hub for housing.
That's right.
37208, the worst zip code living in America, finally becomes a technological hub for housing. What does modern technology look like?
Mm-hmm.
You go to North Nashville, you could see it. You could see these houses and homes being built by people from community, by people who can come to the table as contractors and can hire folk out, and the wealth can be distributed.
Yes.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. Well, look here, man. I know you finna roll. We'll talk later on. I promise you. We finna hang up this phone, man. Peace and blessings to you, Rez.
Thank you, Pastor.
Y'all right. Be blessed, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, folks, you've heard it here. The Yak, the Yolanda-Cornelius Show. You will hear this played several times because you need to know what it is that needs to take place in your life so that wealth can be redistributed. To one he gave 5, to one he gave 2, to one he gave 1. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you for the redistribution of wealth. We thank you for the corona, because somebody's going to give us a cure. Somebody's going to work. Somebody's going to be creative. We thank you for the crash, because somebody's going to come up out of this. Beautiful ashes. We thank you for the chaos. Somebody's going to turn their chaos and this challenge, and they're going to become a conqueror. We thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you've done, how you brought us to this place. Father God, it's in your marvelous, mighty, and majestic name we do pray. Amen.
The Yolanda and Cornelius Show, a Christian perspective on hot topics surrounding our community with emphasis on personal and leadership development. This show is inspiring, informative, and entertaining. You never want to miss it. Now let's see what everyone is yakking about. The Yolanda and Cornelius Show. You may contact us through our website, www.trifoldoutreach.com, or by phone, 800-664-1793.